While relaxing on the beach, Jim suddenly spotted something strange happening in the water. Was he seeing this correctly? He couldn't believe his eyes. In the water, he saw a dog catching a ride on a dolphin's back. Jim couldn't help but laugh, but that quickly changed when he saw why the dolphin was helping the dog. That's when a huge wave of adrenaline came over Jim, and he knew he had to do something. He couldn't understand how anyone could do such a thing. The dog couldn't be anything but innocent, but it was still in the ocean alone. They could still see the loose collar around its neck, showing that it had an owner. Seeing what had been done to the dog, he ran into the water. He had to save the dog. Even with his dolphin ride, he was sure it wouldn't last long in the water. His laughs were short-lived as he dashed off his bath towel and ran towards the ocean. He had no clue if the dolphin would even let him get close, but he knew the dog could never make it to shore without help. When he entered the water, he saw that the dolphin had slowed down, appearing hesitant about Jim nearing it. Seeing his wife Iris look at him confusedly, Jim knew what to do. "Call the animal rescue!" he yelled at his wife, who was relatively far away from him. Jim could ensure that the dog wouldn't drown, and they would find out why this had happened. How had the dog ended up here? And more importantly, who was responsible for it? The last week had been a busy one. Jim and Iris had both been working overtime and hardly had any quality time together. So when they noticed the sun high on the horizon, they thought they could do something relaxing outside. They decided on the beach, with no clue how the day would turn out if they went there. They had meant for it to be a relaxing day. They put on their swimwear, bath towels, lunch, and a few games. It was something very different from the stressful environment they had been in for the past week. The best thing was that it was nearly empty when they arrived at the beach. They could finally have some quiet quality time. After a quick splash in the water, they enjoyed a few snacks that they had brought when Jim noticed something in the distance. He couldn't believe his eyes as they were trained on the horizon. He gestured for his wife to look too. "Look, babe, do you see that too?" he asked as his wife turned around to look at the water. A gasp left her throat at the sight of it. "Oh my gosh, Jim, are that wild dolphins?" she exclaimed, all excited. They had been one of her favorite animals, and Jim knew that. This truly was a lucky day. The weather, their schedules aligning, and now the dolphins, he feared it couldn't get any better than this. The pod came and went away again as Jim and Iris watched, mesmerized by the encounter. Though they had heard that dolphins could be seen in these parts, they had never seen a wild one before. They were chatting about it, their excitement palpable, when Iris noticed another fin on the horizon. "They've come back again!" However, this time, it didn't seem like the whole pod had returned. It wasn't a whole group jumping around in the waves. Instead, there was one lone fin protruding from the water's surface. Jim and Iris had been smiling at the sight. That was until the dolphin started to near the shore and saw something else clinging onto the fin. It was a dog. They first thought it to be a figment of their imagination, but no, it looked almost as if the dog was surfing atop the dolphin. A laugh escaped both of them until Jim started to notice something about the strange dog. The joy of seeing a dog surfing on a dolphin was short-lived as the realization had hit him. He gave a quick look at his wife before he ran toward the shoreline. Though it was a funny sight, Jim understood that a dog being out on the open water couldn't be good. He knew and understood that dogs could swim, but he had seen the dolphin come from over the horizon, meaning that the dog had been traveling with the dolphin for quite some time. It probably needed help. Jim knew that he had to thread the water carefully. He didn't want to startle the dolphin or the dog. He had no clue if either of them was injured, and he didn't want to make matters worse. When he got in the water, he turned back to look at his wife. "Call Animal Rescue and the Coast Guard!" He yelled back at her to let his voice bridge the distance between them. He couldn't do this alone. His wife nodded at him, quickly grabbing her phone and making the calls as Jim slowly approached the dolphin and the dog. He wanted to be able to help the dog if it could no longer hang on to the dolphin. However, that didn't go as easy as he thought it would be. The dolphin was hesitant at his approach as it considerably slowed down its speed. Jim knew and understood that he couldn't do anything. He didn't want to scare either the dolphin or the dog with him being in the water. He had to wait for the reinforcements his wife was calling for. Jim tried to focus solely on the dolphin, but he couldn't help his eyes stray to a collar around the dog's neck. This had to mean that the dog belonged to someone. That only rose more questions, as how had this dog ended up all alone in the waters, being carried to safety by a lone dolphin? Things didn't seem to add on. There had to be an explanation for all of this. Jim had no idea that he was on the cusp of finding that out. As Jim treaded water, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He raised his arms high, signaling desperately for help. The glint of sunlight off distant boats caught his eye. The Coast Guard and Animal Rescue, recognizable by their distinctive colors and markings, were approaching. Relief mingled with urgency in Jim's chest. He hoped they would arrive in time to ensure the safety of the dog and its unexpected marine companion. His shouts were lost in the wind, but his gestures spoke volumes, guiding the rescue teams to their location. The rescue boats sliced through the waves, drawing closer with practiced precision. Their crews, trained for such unusual situations, approached the dolphin and dog duo with utmost caution. They understood the delicacy of the situation. Startling the dolphin could endanger both the marine creature and the dog. Jim watched, his heart pounding, as the teams expertly maneuvered their vessels, creating a safe perimeter around the pair. The rescuers' movements were slow and deliberate, ensuring a calm environment for the rescue. As the boat stabilized, a rescuer gently extended a net towards the dog. The animal, looking exhausted but miraculously unharmed, gazed up with a mix of fear and hope. With a careful, practiced motion, the team lifted the dog from the water, supporting its weary body. The dolphin, seemingly understanding the situation, stayed close but didn't interfere. Jim's breath hitched in his throat as he watched the successful rescue, his eyes never leaving the dog now safely in the hands of the rescuers. Jim swam back to the shore, his eyes never leaving the boat where the dog lay. As he emerged from the water, he saw the rescuers carrying the dog onto the beach. The animal was wrapped in a warm, dry blanket, safe at last. Jim felt a wave of relief so strong it nearly knocked him off his feet. He walked closer, wanting to ensure the dog was truly okay. The rescuers were speaking softly to the dog, offering it comfort and care. On the beach, the scene was one of gentle chaos. The dog, now on dry land, was surrounded by the rescue team. They checked its health, murmuring words of reassurance. Jim stood a few feet away, watching the scene unfold. The dog, wrapped in a blanket, looked up with tired eyes, its breath steady but slow. Jim couldn't help but feel a connection to the brave animal that had been through such an ordeal. He wondered about the story behind this remarkable rescue as the team continued their careful examination. As the rescue team busied themselves with the dog, Jim noticed something glinting on its collar. Curious, he moved closer and saw a small metal tag. It bore the name Max and an address. This simple tag was a beacon of hope in unraveling the mystery of Max's ocean adventure. Jim felt a surge of determination. Somewhere, someone must be missing this brave dog. He shared his discovery with Iris, who looked equally intrigued by the clue dangling from Max's collar. After ensuring that Max was in good hands with the rescue team, Jim and Iris stepped aside for a quiet discussion. The address on the tag was their only lead to understanding Max's story. They agreed that they needed to follow this clue. "We should visit this address," Jim suggested, and Iris nodded in agreement. They felt a responsibility to uncover the story behind Max's ocean journey and perhaps reunite him with his family. Jim and Iris set off on their journey, the address leading them to a part of the coast they had never visited. As they drove, their conversation was filled with theories about Max's origins and the circumstances that led to his ocean ordeal. The car wound through unfamiliar roads, each turn bringing them closer to the unknown. They were driven by a mix of concern and curiosity, hoping that their visit would shed light on the mystery. Their journey ended in front of a quaint, somewhat isolated house. It matched the address on Max's tag. The house stood quietly, with an air of solitude that seemed unusual. It was a picturesque scene, yet something about it felt eerily still. Jim and Iris exchanged a look of uncertainty before stepping out of the car. The mystery of Max's adventure seemed to deepen with this house as its potential source. With a mixture of trepidation and resolve, Jim approached the house and knocked on the door. There was no answer. He knocked again, a bit louder, while Iris looked on with concern. The silence that followed their knocks was unsettling. They tried peering through the windows, but the curtains were drawn tight. The absence of response from the house added another layer to the unfolding mystery of Max. Jim and Iris stepped back, contemplating their next move in this increasingly perplexing puzzle. Circling the house, Jim and Iris took in the details of its exterior. The garden was overgrown and the paint was peeling in places, suggesting a lack of recent care. The mailbox overflowed with uncollected mail, and a few potted plants lay toppled over, their contents spilled. This neglected state hinted at a prolonged absence of the residents, adding to the aura of mystery surrounding Max's connection to this place. As they inspected the house, a couple of neighbours approached, drawn by the sight of strangers. Jim and Iris explained their mission, revealing the tag on Max's collar. The neighbours nodded in recognition. "This house belongs to an elderly couple," they said, "but they've always kept to themselves." The description matched the aura of the house, reinforcing the sense of solitude that seemed to emanate from it. Engaging in further conversation, the neighbours shared stories about the couple's preference for privacy. They rarely entertained visitors and seldom participated in community events. "They've always been kind but distant," one neighbour commented. "We respect their need for privacy, though it means we don't know much about them." This respect for solitude painted a picture of a life lived quietly behind closed doors. The neighbours expressed their concern, noting they hadn't seen the couple for several weeks. "It's unlike them to leave their house unattended for so long," one remarked. This absence was troubling, especially in light of the condition of the house and garden. The community's concern was palpable, hinting at a deeper story yet to be uncovered. Standing in front of the silent house, Jim and Iris reflected on what they had learned. The connection between Max and the absent owners of this house was a puzzle. What had happened to the couple? Why was their house in such a state? And most importantly, how did Max end up far out at sea, seemingly seeking help? The mystery only deepened with each unanswered question. Jim and Iris engaged in further conversations with the locals, gathering more pieces of the puzzle. The community shared their observations and concerns, painting a picture of the couple's life in recent times. Each bit of information added depth to the story, helping Jim and Iris understand the context of Max's mysterious journey. The couple was piecing together a narrative that seemed to intertwine the lives of the elderly couple, their community, and the loyal dog Max. One of the neighbours revealed that the husband had been battling a serious illness for some time. "It's been tough on both of them," they explained. The illness had taken a toll, not just physically, but also on their spirits and their ability to maintain their home and social connections. This piece of information shed light on the neglected state of the house and possibly their need for privacy during this challenging period. The locals expressed their growing worry over the couple's prolonged absence. "It's not like them to disappear without a word," said one neighbour, a hint of distress in their voice. The community's concern was evident. Despite the couple's reclusiveness, they were clearly regarded with affection and worry. This sentiment underscored the tight-knit nature of the community and their collective sense of responsibility for each other. Jim and Iris, along with some neighbours, attempted to trace the couple's last known movements. But the trail quickly went cold. No one had seen them leave, and there were no clues as to their current whereabouts. This lack of leads only deepened the worry and mystery surrounding their disappearance. The situation was becoming more puzzling, and the urgency to find answers increased. As they continued to gather information, Jim and Iris learned about the couple's fondness for boating. They loved the sea, a neighbor mentioned. They often went on boating trips. This new information struck a chord with Jim and Iris. It was a significant clue that might explain Max's presence in the sea. Did their love for boating play a role in the current mystery? The couple wondered, their curiosity piqued by this latest revelation. The search for the missing couple led Jim, Iris, and a group of locals to a secluded part of the shore. There, half hidden by overgrown foliage, they discovered an abandoned boat. It was old but well maintained, matching the descriptions given by the neighbors. This discovery was a significant breakthrough, offering a tangible link to the missing couple. The boat, sitting forlornly on the shore, seemed to hold many untold stories. Upon closer inspection, the boat appeared to have been left in haste. Personal belongings were scattered inside, and a half-empty water bottle lay on its side. The engine had signs of recent use, suggesting a sudden and unplanned return. This scene painted a picture of an unexpected interruption, perhaps an emergency that necessitated a quick departure. Jim and Iris exchanged worried glances, wondering what urgent matter could have caused such a rush. The discovery of the boat raised more questions than answers. Where had the couple intended to go, and what had happened to them? The condition of the boat suggested a trip that had not gone as planned. The lack of any message or note added to the mystery. Jim and Iris felt a growing unease as they pondered the fate of the couple, now missing under increasingly mysterious circumstances. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the search was expanded. The area surrounding the abandoned boat was combed, with locals and volunteers joining in. They searched the nearby beaches and ventured into the adjoining forests, calling out and looking for any sign of the couple. The community's effort was a testament to their concern and solidarity as everyone hoped for a positive outcome. The search effort became a community endeavor. Volunteers posted flyers, organized search parties, and shared information on social media. Local businesses provided supplies and support to the search teams. This collective effort highlighted the close-knit nature of the community, with each member contributing in their own way. Despite the growing concern, there was a sense of hope and determination among the volunteers, driven by the desire to find the missing couple and bring them home safely. The quest for the missing couple turned somber as the elderly man's body was found on a remote beach. He lay there peacefully, as if asleep to the waves' lullaby. Discovered by volunteers in respectful silence, the solemn moment weighed heavy on their hearts. The serene beach, in stark contrast to the gravity of their find, cast a somber mood over the group, emphasizing the poignant nature of the situation. The news of the elderly man's discovery swiftly spread through the community, eliciting a collective wave of grief and shock. Residents from all corners of the town joined together, offering support and sharing in the heavy heartache. The urgency to find his wife intensified, prompting volunteers and authorities to redouble their efforts. The couple, once distant names, now occupied the forefront of everyone's thoughts and concerns. The tragedy had woven their story into the community's fabric, uniting everyone in a shared sense of loss. Preliminary findings from the authorities suggested that the man had passed away due to natural causes. There were no indications of any struggle or external harm, hinting at a peaceful, albeit solitary, departure from life. This revelation, while still heartbreaking, brought a small sense of relief to those who feared a more troubling end. The focus of the search now shifted even more urgently towards locating his wife, with hopes that she might still be found alive and able to shed light on the circumstances of their disappearance. In the days after the discovery, the community shared stories of the man's love for the sea and boating adventures. Recollections of his twinkle-eyed tales painted a picture of a life filled with passion and joy on the water. His love for the sea became a cherished legacy, a reminder of a life lived with enthusiasm and love, etched in the hearts of those who knew him. Max, the loyal dog, became a poignant part of the tragedy's narrative. Speculations about his presence and unwavering loyalty touched hearts. The thought that Max might have stayed with his owner or sought help added a deeply touching aspect. This highlighted the profound bond between humans and their animal companions, resonating with the community and adding a poignant layer to the unfolding events. In a surprising turn of events, the missing wife was found in a local hospital, recovering from a minor accident. She was resting in a quiet room, her expression one of confusion and worry. The hospital staff informed Jim and Iris of her presence, leading them to her bedside. The discovery brought a mix of emotions, relief that she was found, but concern over her condition and the lingering questions about her husband. The wife, though weak, was able to share her story. She recounted a recent accident that had occurred at home, leading to her hospitalization. Her narrative was punctuated with moments of clarity, but also confusion, as she tried to piece together the events. She spoke of a fall, the subsequent pain, and the neighbors finding her. But her memory was foggy, leaving gaps in the story that Jim and Iris listened to intently. With gentle prompting, the wife recalled that her husband's last trip with Max had been a routine boat ride. "They loved those trips," she murmured, a faint smile crossing her lips. It was a ritual they had enjoyed for years, a shared passion that bonded them. The simplicity of this detail stood in stark contrast to the complexity of the situation, adding another layer to the unfolding mystery. As Jim and Iris gently probed for more details, it became clear that the wife was unaware of her husband's fate and Max's incredible adventure. Her confusion grew as they explained the situation, her face reflecting a mix of disbelief and sorrow. The gap in her knowledge was as puzzling as it was heartbreaking, leaving Jim and Iris with more questions than answers about the events that had transpired. In the quiet of the hospital room, Jim and Iris began to piece together the events leading to the current situation. They contemplated the wife's fragmented recollections, the discovery of the husband, and Max's remarkable journey. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly forming a picture, but it was one with missing elements, a story incomplete and laden with mystery. They knew they had to delve deeper to understand the full scope of what had happened. The wife, despite her frail state, spoke with warmth about Max, describing his deep loyalty and protective nature. "He was more than a pet, he was a guardian," she said softly. Her eyes lit up as she shared anecdotes of Max's intelligence and empathy, illustrating a bond that went beyond the usual owner-pet relationship. It was clear that Max held a special place in their lives, a steadfast companion through thick and thin. As she continued, the wife revealed that Max had been with her husband during his last voyage. "They left together that morning, just like any other day," she recalled. The routine nature of their departure made the subsequent events all the more heart-wrenching. She spoke of their shared love for the sea and how these trips were a cherished part of their life together. This detail added a poignant note to the story, underlining the depth of the tragedy. Piecing together the timeline, it became apparent that Max's actions after the man's passing were likely a search for help. The wife speculated, with a mix of admiration and sorrow, that Max must have realized something was wrong and attempted to find assistance. This revelation painted a picture of a dog driven by loyalty and intelligence, desperately trying to alter the course of an unchangeable tragedy. The story of Max's unwavering dedication to his owner was deeply moving. The wife, Jim, and Iris reflected on the extraordinary nature of the dog's loyalty. Max had stayed by his owner's side, facing the vastness of the sea together. This image of a faithful friend, steadfast in the face of uncertainty and danger, was a powerful testament to the profound connection between the dog and his owner. In the quiet of the hospital room, as the wife's story unfolded, Jim and Iris began to understand the full extent of Max's journey. It was not just a tale of survival, but one of devotion and a desperate plea for assistance. The realization that Max had ventured into the sea, driven by the need to seek help, added an extraordinary dimension to the narrative. It was a story of loyalty and courage in the face of overwhelming odds, a testament to the bond between Max and his family. Marine experts, intrigued by Max's story, discussed the dolphin's role with fascination. They believed the dolphin likely perceived Max's distress and responded with compassion. Dolphins are highly intelligent and empathetic, one expert explained. It's plausible that it sensed the dog's plight and acted out of an instinct to aid. This perspective shed light on the mysterious and heartwarming interaction between Max and the dolphin, suggesting a deeper understanding and sensitivity in marine life. The actions of the dolphin were interpreted as deliberate attempts to guide Max towards safety. Experts theorized that the dolphin, recognizing Max's vulnerable state, steered him closer to shore. It's as if the dolphin knew the dog needed help, Jim mused, reflecting on the extraordinary nature of the event. The idea that a wild animal would intervene in such a human-like manner was both astonishing and touching, highlighting the complexities of animal behavior. The unique interaction between Max and the dolphin became a point of significant interest. Animal behaviorists and marine biologists analyzed the event, noting its rarity. Such interactions between domestic animals and wild marine life are exceptional, one biologist remarked. The incident was seen as a remarkable example of interspecies communication, demonstrating a level of understanding and cooperation that transcended the boundaries of their different worlds. This event served as a compelling example of empathy in the animal kingdom. Discussions ensued about similar instances where animals displayed compassionate behaviors towards others, even of different species. This goes to show that empathy isn't solely a human trait, Iris commented, deeply moved by the story. The incident with Max and the dolphin was now part of a larger narrative about the emotional capacities of animals, challenging long-held assumptions about their inner lives. Max and the dolphin story highlighted an unusual yet touching bond across species. It served as a poignant reminder of connections in the natural world, transcending species lines. Jim, Iris, and the community found the tale of unexpected friendship and aid captivating. More than a story of survival, the bond between Max and the dolphin testified to unseen bridges between different forms of life, offering a glimpse into a world where compassion knows no boundaries. As Jim sat by the hospital bedside, listening to the wife's account of Max's journey, he couldn't help but reflect on the emotional rollercoaster he had experienced at the beach. It was an epiphany of sorts, a realization of why the scene had moved him to tears. It wasn't just witnessing an extraordinary event, it was the overwhelming display of loyalty, courage, and compassion that had touched his heart profoundly. The tale of Max and the dolphin served as a powerful reminder of the depth of bonds between animals. Jim and Iris marveled at the incredible loyalty Max had shown to his owner, even in the face of tragedy. It was a testament to the unwavering commitment that could exist between humans and their animal companions. The story left them with a renewed appreciation for the unique connections they shared with their pets. Inspired by Max's story and feeling a special connection with him, Jim and Iris made a life-changing decision. They resolved to adopt Max, offering him a loving and secure home. It was a new beginning for Max, a chance to leave behind the mysteries of his past and embrace a future filled with love and care. The decision was met with smiles and anticipation, marking the start of a heartwarming chapter in their lives. Preparing for Max's arrival, Jim and Iris began to make arrangements to help him adjust to his new life with them. They understood that Max had been through a lot and needed patience and understanding. The couple was determined to create a welcoming environment where Max could leave behind the uncertainties of his past and build a brighter future. It was a heartfelt farewell to the past, making way for a fresh start. The story concluded with a hopeful outlook on Max's life with Jim and Iris. Their decision to adopt him marked the beginning of a new chapter, filled with love, companionship, and shared adventures. As they left the hospital with Max, there was a sense of completeness, a feeling that they had not only saved Max, but that Max had also saved them in his own way. The future was uncertain, but it was a future they were ready to face together, united by the remarkable tale that had brought them together.